So, I will start with my usual first question. Many of my typing sessions have you seen before, if any?
I've watched one fully through, and I think I watched a little bit of another.
Okay, cool. Um, and how long have you been into cognitive functions or typology? Okay. Um, so, what time of day is it? Is it morning where you are?
Yeah, it's 11 a.m.
Okay. Can you tell me a sequential series of insignificant details regarding what's happened, what you've done, and such since from getting up until now?
Sure. I got up this morning. I kind of slept in a little late. I got my daughter up, got her dressed, um, brushed her teeth, and her and my wife went to go. My daughter went off to the school, and I came back. I kind of sat around for a second. I ran to the gas station, then I came back. I took out the trash, and then I came down here to get ready.
Why did you go to school? It's Saturday.
Oh, she goes to uh like a special condition kind of school.
Okay, so it's got a weird schedule or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, um, that sucked. I have to go to school on Saturday. Uh,
Yeah.
okay, so do you? What part of parenting do you find most rewarding?
Most rewarding. Could you define rewarding?
You go, hey, it's pretty cool being a parent. Times like this.
Um Watching the evolution and development of the child, sort of just like being amazed at what they do. And
You're different than you were yesterday.
yes, basically, yeah.
uh, um, when you go, pretend you're at the supermarket and you're in the 10 items or less line, and you notice the 10 items or fewer line, I'm sorry, and you notice that the person in front of you has at least 15 items in their basket. How are you annoyed? How annoyed are you? And are you annoyed enough to say something?
I am not annoyed enough to say anything, but I am annoyed. Yes.
Hmm. Do you passively aggressively count the items as they put them down on the thing? One, two,
I might. I
three.
might.
Okay. Can you talk to me about what kind of, when you're not watching informational videos on YouTube, when you're just watching something for entertainment purposes, are you likely to be watching sitcoms, movies, sports, or something else?
Never sports. Um, you did say on YouTube, correct?
I said excluding informational videos on YouTube. So
Okay.
not videos that purport to convey anything for you to learn from.
Right.
Just stuff to entertain you. Like so, my YouTube entertainment videos are like 10 spookiest things caught on closed circuit cameras. I like to watch those kind of videos.
Okay. Um, I might watch clips from maybe like animated Um, certain animated shows
Okay.
or
Do you like Adult Swim kind of animation or anime or both or something else?
no, more like I don't do a lot of animation, but like the Star Wars uh animated stuff, like the whole Jedi thing is kind of interesting.
Hmm.
Um so I would probably watch something more fantasy related or science fiction related
Okay.
or Sherlock Holmes, that kind of thing.
When you're consuming informational stuff, are you more likely to be watching an informational video or reading an informational article?
I'd probably be watching an information video, although from time to time I do read informational articles.
Okay. Let's say that you have a short story, and in one scenario, you read a short story the regular way. In the second scenario, you read a different, but approximately same length, same difficulty level, or whatever, short story by audiobook. Is do you feel you have an easier time maintaining your attention in one of those formats over the other?
Mm, no, if the story's good, no. If the story's not really grabbing me, then the audiobook might do it better.
Okay. I see you have what appears to be an easel on the wall back there as like a wall decoration.
Hmm.
Do you paint?
Yes, I'm an oil painter. I mean, not professionally, but yeah.
I'm assuming you mean not motor oil.
No, no. Well, it might take no. It's all different forms of oil, but it's more like sapphire oil, linseed oil, as opposed to like watercolor or acrylic paint or something along those manners.
Didn't they used to make in the olden days oil paint with lead?
Yes, they still do that to a certain extent. It's just certain colors, like they have like a lead white, which is illegal in certain places, but you can still get it.
The black
Yeah,
market, the
I
black
mean you
market
can
fine artist store.
you can get it from like Japan or certain countries. You just order it directly from the country.
Hey, buddy, want to buy some leaded paint?
I guess it's a certain color. People can get very particular about their colors.
Well, I mean, when when you aren't worried about introducing lead into the environment or a lot of other things, then you can make paint that is purely made on sort of brilliance and durability, right? But if you're trying to avoid hurting the environment, then you have fewer choices of things to do, and you have to compensate. So it's probably old school paints are better, probably.
Yes, that is the popular opinion among a lot of artists.
So why don't you paint in acrylics?
Uh, the medium is just different. I prefer the look of oil paint. I mean, it can be more difficult, but I don't know. I just like it better.
Is there a different feel when you push the paint around?
A little bit, but not too noticeable.
What makes oil more difficult?
Um, it takes longer to dry. So
Hmm.
like if you paint it in acrylics, it can dry in a very short amount of time, maybe 10, 15 minutes, depending on the area. Whereas oil could take days, even a week, depending on the colors and how much paint is on there and whatnot.
So do you frequently have paintings where, okay, now I need to let this area dry before I do the next bit?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
So that
Sometimes
sometimes you have to wait a long time for that.
Yeah, you can work on a different area, or you can work on multiple paintings at the same time.
I see. Um, are you likely to paint landscapes, portraits, random
Uh,
things?
I like portraits and like science fiction and fantasy stuff, like fantasy novels, that kind of stuff.
Like a big titted woman in a silvery miniskirt with a ray gun. Like
Something like
pew. That's pretty rad.
that. My wife doesn't think so, but yeah, something in that area.
Do you play any music?
While painting,
Or do you
or
play? I mean, do you play a musical instrument?
oh no,
Okay. Do you listen to a lot of music?
not really.
Okay.
Just from time to time, or if I'm in the shower or something.
Okay. So when I lie down to go to sleep, what I do is start, I lie down and I put myself in one of a set of possible like worlds that I pretend to visit and then have ongoing stories going on there that I'm doing stuff or whatever. Basically, I'm pretending, and then I fall asleep as I'm doing that. So, what do you do when you lie down to go to sleep?
Uh, well, I'm intrigued by what you got going on. That sounds interesting. Mine's is much more simpler. I simply lay there and I close my eyes and I'm asleep. Like it's fairly simple.
Well, I mean, mine's not so much intriguing as it is childish. I'm basically just pretending, just like I always have. But it's time to go to
That
sleep.
sounds awesome, though. I mean, that sounds awesome. Like that sounds like something I could do, but it never occurred to me to do so. I don't think I'm awake enough to do that.
Hmm. Um. So, do you? How many hours of sleep do you need to get a night in order to feel like you're functioning fully and normally the next day?
I'm usually good on 6 hours. Yeah, about 6 hours.
Do you go to bed at a regular time, or does it change around?
It changes just because I got a kid and getting her to sleep and just stuff, life. So I
Oh,
try to I try to do it on a schedule, but it doesn't really work out very often. I wake up at a certain time, but going to sleep is a bit of a pain.
okay. Um. So, how many? Can you put this argument in different words for me? And the argument is we shouldn't let the World Trade Center. I mean, not the World Trade Center. We shouldn't let the World Trade Organization tell our country what copyright policies to set because doing so would violate our autonomy as a sovereign country.
And you want me to rephrase it?
Yeah, or just repeat back to me the argument I just made.
Okay.
Basically,
We shouldn't let the World Trade Organization dictate. I think I lost it.
okay. So we shouldn't let the World Trade Organization dictate our copyright laws because if we do that, that will let them violate our sovereignty.
Okay. We shouldn't let the World
Trade
we
Organization.
Trade Organization dictate our copyright laws, or that would infringe upon our right
Our sovereignty, yeah.
of
Okay.
sovereignty. Yeah.
All right, cool. Can you put this statement in different words? The cow across the street has mooed.
There's a lot of mooing going on from the cow across the street.
Okay. You want to try another way of phrasing it?
There's a whole lot of mooing going on. I believe it's coming from the cow across the street.
Okay. So, what do you think I'm testing with that question?
Maybe something to do with memory or imagination.
It's testing extroverted intuition. So, you're displaying what would be consistent usually with introverted intuition on the front stack instead of extroverted intuition on the front stack. And because an extroverted intuitor would rephrase it like, the bovine over yonder has vocalized in order to try to avoid using any of the same words. If it were extroverted intuition up high, probably. Now, the thing is, I've also, it seems like it's better than polar. If it were your blind spot, well, but let's just do some more expert intuition tests and check this out. So, have you heard me ask Inky Pinky questions before?
No, I don't know.
All right. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples, and then I'll give you one to try. The first example, the clue will be something like hilltop water spout. And I'll tell you, the answer is an inky pinky, which means each of the words in the answers has 2 syllables. And the answers always rhyme. So the answer to that one would be mountain fountain, because a hilltop water spout hilltop means mountain, kind of, and water spout means fountain, kind of. And the answer always rhymes. So when you start to make these things, you start with a rhyming pair of words like mountain fountain, and you come up with a clue. Okay, hilltop water spout. And you tell the person inky pinky to inform them there's 2 syllables in each of the words in the answer. Here's the second example, and it's an ink pink, which means there's just 1 syllable in the word in each of the words of the answer. So if I were to say roadway flesh, it's an ink pink, the answer would be street meat. Again, the answer always rhymes. And I tell you how many syllables are in each of the words of the answer. And I'll give you a clue that means the things in the answer. So here's the first one. This is a large duck-like creature that's not tight. It's an ink pink.
I'm going blank. I got nothing on that.
It's a loose goose. Okay, now here's another one. This is a sunrise yard, and it's an ink pink. It's a dawn lawn. Okay, I'm going to give you one more to try, and then I'm going to ask you to make up one for me. So this last one this is a cut short blouse, and it's an ink pink. That's right. It's a crop top.
Yeah.
Can you make one up
Um.
for me to try?
Okay. Yeah. No.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm sorry. My mind.
No, that's fine. Listen, I'm trying. This is all helpful information. It's like everybody's some things in cognitive functions link more directly to skills that you can test than other things do. and unfortunately, people who people tend to feel like kind of exposed if they don't do well on a certain test. But the thing is,
Yeah.
it's like that's the vast majority of people can't do those things very much. So it's kind of like a way to eliminate one or two as extroverted intuition. So how about this? Can you break the process of smoking a cigarette down into exactly 5 steps? You're going to give somebody instructions in 5 steps how to smoke a cigarette. It's a caveman. He's just been defrosted, but he speaks English.
Okay.
And while you're thinking about it, I'm going to refill my cup of coffee here. I'll be right back. Okay, what you got for me?
So you take a cigarette out the package, you insert it into your mouth, you light it, you inhale, take a deep drag, and then slowly exhale.
Okay, good. Um, let's say something breaks around the house, like there's a doorknob that's loose. It's coming looser and looser because the screws are coming out. Do you fix that right away, grab a screwdriver and screw them back in right away? Do you try to delegate that task to somebody else? Do you wait till you got 6 of those things and hire a handyman to fix them all? Do you ignore it until it becomes unignorable?
Well, I mean, since we're talking about the particular of the doorknob itself, then I guess I would just try to screw it back in. But if it was something else, I might choose other options. I might ignore it, and then once it becomes unignorable, I might hire somebody to fix it.
Okay. Let's say you're given a temp job. You have a 1-day temp job, and if for whatever reason paying you $10,000 for 1 day, so you just gotta do it,
Good
But
job.
the job is you have 2 choices. You can spend the whole day fixing loose doorknobs and jiggling toilet handles and stuff, or you can spend the whole day dealing with complaining customers on the phone. Which do you choose? And which do you think you'd be better at? Which is a separate question.
All right. They both suck, but I guess I would choose the customers on the phone. And if I had to choose which I would be better at, again, I would go with the customer on the phone. Although I probably wouldn't be particularly good at either of those things.
Okay. How do you feel emotionally right now?
Slightly nervous, which is odd because I don't really get nervous.
How do you think I feel emotionally right now?
I don't know. You look pretty relaxed. I imagine you do this kind of thing all the time.
Yeah. What emotion goes along with that? Regular?
Yeah, just regular. I don't know.
Um, what physical sensation goes along with feeling like you're about to cry?
I don't know.
Can you think of any emotion that you can identify a corresponding physical sensation?
No.
Have you ever heard the expression, she had a lump in her throat, to refer to being about to cry? She felt like she had a lump in her
Yeah.
throat. Have you ever
Yes.
experienced that?
Yes. It's very rare. Usually only happens at like maybe a funeral.
Okay. But you do acknowledge that if you're sad enough that you will experience that physical sensation.
Yes.
But it just didn't occur to you that that was something that linked to FI until I pointed it out.
No.
Okay.
I My emotions are weird. Like most people seem like they I've been trying to put this into words. I feel like I experience my emotions, and I don't feel like that's the same thing with most other people. It seems like they're more just lack the it just feels different. Like I'm perfectly fine. I'm not really an emotional type of person. And yet if I was watching a movie, let's say like The Lion King, when the part where Mustafa dies, like that, I might feel something, you know. But
It was murder most foul.
it was, yes.
Um, okay. Do you think that you're more attentive in general to whether you like people or whether they like you?
My natural response is say I don't really care either way.
Okay.
I don't know what that says, but
What makes you more angry at yourself, if you accidentally stub your toe or if you accidentally hurt someone's feelings?
I suppose if I stub my toe.
Okay. Can you think of times when you've accidentally hurt someone's feelings?
It's something I do all the time, though I'm not really aware of it till somebody else points it out. Because it's not my intention. I'm never really intentionally trying to do so.
Okay.
But it
So,
just
can you give me an example of a time when you accidentally hurt someone's feelings?
no.
Okay. Let me give you a couple of scenarios in which feelings get hurt and tell me which one you're more likely to be the perpetrator of. Scenario one, um, somebody's feelings get hurt because you failed to include them in a group activity that they really wanted to be included in. Or scenario two, someone's feelings get hurt because you offered a nice solution to a problem that you saw they had, but they didn't think it was really a problem, and their feelings were hurt because you told them that they needed to fix something that they didn't think was broken.
That sounds like me.
Okay. Um, so how reliable are you about making your appointments and stuff? Like, do you use a calendar to keep track of your schedule? Do you keep it in your head? And do you do you sometimes go, oh shit, I had that thing at 2 o'clock. I totally forgot about it. Or are you gonna, if just once you've committed to it, you're gonna be there.
Yeah, once I'm committed, I'm going to be there.
Are you
Uh,
hesitant to commit?
am I hesitant to commit? It depends. Like, I don't have a problem committing, but I won't commit to something I don't really fully know what I'm committing to.
If you're gonna, let's say you're walking down the street and you see someone's parking meter is just expired, and you see the parking maid coming down the street, and so you decide to be a good Samaritan and put a couple quarters in their parking meter for them.
Mhm.
Um, do you do that and then don't tell anybody about it, or
Yeah.
do you do that and then say, "Hey, I got to tell you the story about me being such a great guy today"?
No. I would do it when wouldn't tell anybody about it. I don't really see the point of doing that.
Okay. I'd like you to try to say the following sentence first normally and second sarcastically. And the sentence is, I think it's a great idea to buy a turtle.
I think it's a great idea to buy a turtle.
Okay, now sarcastically.
I think it's a great idea to buy a turtle.
Okay. All right, now I'm going to try some TI questions. If some turtles like being purchased, and all things that like being purchased are named Ted, is it necessarily the case that some turtles are named Ted? I can repeat the question if you'd like.
Sure.
If some turtles like being purchased, and all things that like being purchased are named Ted, is it necessarily the case that some turtles are named Ted?
Yes.
Okay. If only people from California say cowabunga, and I'm from California, do I necessarily say cowabunga?
No.
Okay. If no people from Iceland enjoy iceberg lettuce, and I don't enjoy iceberg lettuce, am I necessarily from Iceland?
No.
Okay. Who is my mother's husband's wife's only son-in-law in relation to me? I can repeat it if you'd like.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay,
Repeat it, please.
my mother's husband's wife's only son-in-law in relation to me.
I don't think that's anything in relation to you.
It's my dad. It's my mother's husband, anyway.
Okay. That
I
seems like
mean,
a
I,
big
I,
complicated way
I
to say it.
agree. I
Right.
agree with you that it's predicated on the assumption that all children are of the marriage, that all parents are married once, and all children are from that marriage. But okay, that's fine. I got plenty of TI information from that. The whole thing in general is quite strong, quite good. Um, Now I want to. Have you ever heard me ask the troll question before?
Yeah, I did hear recently. It's
Okay.
if you're oh, did you want me to say this question
I
or
mean, the thing is, if you have any thoughts on that you want to share with me, go ahead. But I was, if you'd heard,
or
normally I don't ask if somebody's heard it before.
can I employ like a wizard or something to simply transport the troll?
But you do have a court wizard, but he's unable to do that kind of spell. Like he can do some spells, but not. He can't make the just teleport the troll a long ways away. That's high level magic. That you don't have that kind of. You don't have that pimp in a wizard.
Um, does he not know other wizards who can get the job done?
Well, I
Hey,
mean, the thing is, it's the Middle Ages. It's the beginning of winter. It's hard to travel around, and even going one town downriver to try to get help would be a bit of an undertaking. You have to send an expedition out there. The weather's getting worse and worse. It's one of the worst winters in 50 years, they say. And so
can the wizard do illusions?
he can do some illusions. He can do.
Can we?
He can make a rabbit appear out of his hat.
So he couldn't do like make it seem like there were multiple boats on the river, so it wouldn't
he
know which boat to go
he might
to.
be able to do that. I like your illusion magic. Yeah, so you're
Or
gonna
he could
hide the
make
real
it.
boat among illusory boats. Is that right?
Yes.
But the problem with that is his magic power includes a food identification thing that's infallible. So he'd be able to tell which ones were illusory because he'd be able to see that there's no food on there. There's no actual food.
What if we just make the boat itself invisible? He would have to look for it to know to even look for the food, correct?
Can he use his power making on an invisible boat is not a question I've ever encountered before. It's rare that I encounter things I've never encountered before, but the answer is probably he can't. He'd probably cut him down, his success rate down to about 25%. He's not dumb. He can talk and everything, so he can see the wake of the boat, even if you made it invisible. He'd probably figure that out pretty quick. But I like that you're going with magic. You know, most people don't try the magic route.
Could he make the water just seem very stormy? So that way you couldn't really see the wake of a boat. It just looked like all the water is just kind of...
Well, he can only do one of those illusions. He can either make the boat invisible or cast illusion on the water, but not both concurrently. Yeah. That's beyond his scope of power. How about I make you that scene of dancing elves you love to watch, Maya? I could do that. He's always trying to curry favor with you. You're an illusionist. Have you heard the hats question?
No.
Okay. So, I mean, basically, the thing about the troll question is it allows me to sort of see how people process, like, how they approach a question like that. So, you know, some people have very little to no ideational stuff going on. Like, you tell them to set up and they go, looks like I guess 10% of people are going to die. Guess we're going to have to pick which 10% starve to death. I mean, do you want to try solving the problem first? But, okay, the hats question is this. There are 5 hats in a bag, 3 red hats and 2 white hats. Now, there's a prison. The warden has this bag full of hats, and he brings out 3 prisoners. He says, I'm going to blindfold the 3 of you, and you're each going to put on a hat. You're going to pull a hat randomly from the bag and put it on your head. There are 3 red hats and 2 white hats in the bag. The hat's a little party hat. So they each have on their little party hats now. They've reached in the bag, pull one randomly, put it on the 3 prisoners. And he tells them, okay, I'm going to take off your blindfolds one at a time. If after I take off your blindfold, you can tell me what color hat you have just by looking at the other guy's hats, then I will let you go free. However, if you tell me the wrong answer, I will kill you immediately. Or you can choose not to answer, and I will let you go back to your cell and finish out your sentence. So the first prisoner, he takes the blindfold off, and the prisoner looks at the second and third guy, and he goes, I cannot tell you what color my hat is. The warden says, fine, okay. Second guy, I'll take off your blindfold. The second guy looks at the first guy and the third guy's hats, and he goes, I cannot tell you what color my hat is. And the warden goes to take off the third guy's blindfold, and the third guy says, I don't even need you to take off my blindfold. I know what color my hat is. And he tells the warden says, correct, and lets him go. What color was his hat, and how did he know?
I do not know.
Okay, so the answer is it was red, and he knew it was red because the only way the first guy could have known is if he'd seen 2 white hats. So he didn't see 2 white hats. Now the second guy knows the first guy didn't see 2 white hats. So the second guy knows if the third guy's hat is white, that his own hat must be red. But the second guy can't tell what color his hat is either. So this third guy then at that point knows that his own hat must not have been white. But that's fine. If you wanted the answer, that's the answer. So, okay.
I got a question.
Uh-huh.
That kind of presumes that it almost presumes that there's like a semi-consciousness between all 3. I see your process of elimination.
Yeah, no, you're right. It does. The third guy is betting his life on the fact that the first and second guy did the process well.
Right. That's nobody's going to take that gamble. I mean,
I agree with you, and that's a great observation. You're absolutely correct. But the reason it's a good question in part is because it tests in somewhat like how conscious your TI is. If you're a TI Dom, you project that frame of reference onto the world, and so you assume everybody thinks like that. And so if you are a TI Dom, then if the third guy is an INTP, he very well will say that not thinking he's gambling at all, ignoring the fact that most people aren't going to necessarily use that successful TI kind of process to figure it out. And so then, people who do figure it out and or get the answer and go, it never occurs to them to make the objection you made, which is, but on a practical level, you sure are betting a lot on some wild assumptions.
Yeah. I mean, when you explain it like that, it makes sense, but it's almost like you're saying the guys in like Ocean 11 are all like INTPs. Like that sounds like something you would see in those movies.
I got that problem from my daughter's conditional logic class, that she brought that problem home as homework from college, and it was one that she said, I can't figure this one out. She and I sat there with it for a long time before I figured it out. Then I forgot how I figured it out, and I had to figure it out again later, but eventually I remembered it. So, okay, I'm going to have to ask for your patience here, and I'm going to actually stop recording for a second. I have to poop super bad, so I have to go inside and poop.